I prayed about it. My husband and I talked about it. We decided we wouldn't. I got bullied into the Hep B in the hospital. She was referred within 30 minutes of receiving it.
She was admitted into the hospital
30 minutes after receiving the vaccine. 5 years later, I did genetic testing on her. It turns out that she has a very common genetic mutation that means she cannot detox 70% of the toxins that enter her body.
And my son has it as well. It's called an MTHFR genetic mutation, and it's estimated that about 55% of the population has this mutation.
So there's testing that we can do to see if our children might be vaccine vulnerable. But you're not going to hear about that, because if we did that testing, then half the population would not be able to be vaccinated, which reflects that so many children, it is not 1 in a million. Holly, Tommy, and Dale Bigtree are on a vaxxed bus traveling the country. They will be in Mississippi in the next month or so. We've talked to them and they're coming. They are having, every time they stop, they have a silver Sharpie, and they're having vaccine-injured children sign this bus. They have over 300 signatures. It's so many more than what we even know. So many of these children don't leave the house. You don't see them outside because they're grown-ups in diapers.
Last year alone, 1.8 million cases of autism was diagnosed in the U.S. I've been doing this a long time. My son's 13 years old. I've been all over the country. We've been out of the country with him multiple times. I've met parents from all over the world, all walks of life. We all have the identical story of what happened to our children. I met an immunologist from Australia and out of the country with her daughter. Same story. She was perfectly typical, perfectly normal, got a round of vaccines. Hers was the DTaP. Gone. Stopped walking, stopped talking, stopped, just completely shut down, developed severe allergies and autism. So this is not rare. We're repeatedly told that this didn't happen to our kids. It did, and it does every day. There are millions of parents that have the same story. We're not wrong.
I'm going to answer about that.
I'm a registered nurse, and I have a vaccine-injured child. On the exemption notice, I have a child who had a severe reaction to the MMR. He was perfectly normal, perfectly typical for the first 12 months of life. We went in for a well baby checkup for 12 months. He got his MMR. He had a severe reaction to it. A few days later, he woke up, full body rash, 104 temp. He would not look at us. He would not respond to his name. He stopped babbling. Blank expression, all expression gone off his face, and he started to regress that day. Just fell off the charts developmentally. Over the next few months, he just went down, down, down. Pediatrician denies till this day it was his MMR. At 3 months after that MMR, he started having the GI issues that Wakefield describes in this film. He was hospitalized with it. Pediatrician still denies that there's anything to do, that the MMR had anything to do with it. When it was time to go to school, initially we were able to get a vaccine waiver because I had 3 physicians write letters saying that child could not be further vaccinated. In the state of Mississippi, they were denied repeatedly, even though I had 3 doctors writing letters with lab work, presenting it to them, where his immune system was highly dysfunctional at this point and he could not be further vaccinated. They were repeatedly denied for a year until we got a politician denied. So we don't have a medical waiver, we have a political waiver, and that's what most of us in the state with a vaccine-injured child has.
So we harm our children, and then we make them battle tooth and nail against government bureaucrats who have never seen our children to get their medical exemption. And then a lot of times they're issuing them temporarily so that the mother has to go back and battle again every single year. Not to mention the fact that a medical exemption means your kid's already being harmed.
After the Disney measles outbreak, I was watching CNN as they were having the hearing on Capitol Hill about the Disney measles outbreak, and they kept talking about how exemplary Mississippi was. Well, the fact is that the 2015 numbers that I got from the state of Mississippi on autism is that Mississippi has seen a 563% increase in autism in the past decade.
I can tell you, a lot of these legislators are good people, but they don't know anything about medicine. And when we start talking about giving parents rights, the culture here in Mississippi is such that they're afraid, well, they've been told by our health department that, our kids are going to be basically dying in the ditches of deadly diseases. You know, and that Mississippi is finally first in something, and we're going to go and blow it. Well, the reason we're first in it is because we're being exploited for our reputation for ignorance. They need to be hearing from healthcare professionals, people that are working with children, people who are teaching children.
We are not called.
You and your colleagues have a lot of power that you could be using, because when we go to the Capitol, they think we're just moms.